Welcome to the Hooked Pod. I'm Chunk.
I'm the Chippy. Today on this episode, we will be discussing lots of different things about driving on the beach. We have about 5 different categories that we'd like people to think about before they head out and go fishing in the on the wild beaches of the south or anywhere where you live.
Yeah.
So, Chunk, you're a bit of a specialist in this field.
Yeah, I could probably say I'm a specialist now, but I learnt a lot of lessons the hard ways, probably more than the average young 20-year-old, losing a couple of cars and getting bogged countless times. And
Absolutely. When I met you and I went driving with you, I thought that you were one of the best people to go four-wheel drive, especially on the beach. And today, because we're talking about beach fishing, that's why I wanted to have a chat to you about it, because I know how good you are at it, and you haven't got a vehicle that's like specially made with lots of mods on it to get you where you want to go. You just have a pretty good D-Max, which you know how to drive, and I think that's very important.
yeah, that is, I 100% agree there. You got to know what your vehicle's capable of. You do not need a $100,000 vehicle souped up with all the gear hanging off
With
it.
every conceivable mod.
Yeah, if you were just an average bloke and you had to do one modification to your car, it would be a decent set of tyres.
Yep. We all know about tyres, off-road tyres, because most cars, even four-wheel drives, they do not come with them when you buy them new.
No.
So the first thing most people do, and that's why on Gumtree you see, or Marketplace, you see so many sets of tyres, because most people take them straight off their four-wheel drives and put something on they can use in the rough.
They're unsellable, yeah.
That's right.
You want to get something with the, you want to get a light truck tyre rating, with the Kevlar in them, and they are good.
So the first thing, and that's good that you're talking about tyres, because the first on my list today, if you're going to go four-wheel drive beach driving, to get to your favourite fishing or surfing spot, tyre pressures, I believe, is number one.
Yeah, absolutely. You can, I have another golden rule, that I've learnt over the years is if you do not know the beach and you've never been on the beach, doesn't matter what anyone else has told you about the beach, just drop your tyres to 15 pound. You've got those good tyres, like you are.
Yeah.
They're made to deal with it, I personally believe,
Spreads the tread out when you drop them down.
I've tested them out, I've always had good tyres, and you can drop them down to 8 pound, and I've never rolled a tyre off the rim, and I've never ever had a puncture.
Dropping them that low, yep.
No, and believe me, I have tested cars to their limits.
Yeah. I mean, I've been down to 10 PSI before, but I've got my Storm set on about 18.
Yeah.
And I always start on about 18, which, isn't much less than 20. I put them on 18. I had a 76 series with the V8 in it, which obviously, there's 2 lots of treads going down the beach because of the V8 and, the width. And they do not go behind each other, the treads on my car, and that is difficult. But if I go 18, sometimes I have to go to 15, and it crab crawls down the beach anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But because it's got the power, I can drop, sit on 15 PSI and I can go just about anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really want to go much less than that, but obviously if you're in an emergency and you can't get out, I mean, you can go down to 10 or 5 or whatever, but just don't hack around like that. Make sure you stay in a straight line. And
it preserves the beaches too,
Yeah, absolutely.
For other users, it makes a big difference. You see people hacking up and down on 40 PSI at a million mile an hour, flicking sand everywhere and cutting up. And
yeah, that's right.
Sure as shit, they're the ones that are going to end up bogged, halfway down the beach. And
that's right. One of the biggest things people don't do, I mean, they head out on the beach and they don't lower their tyres because they're lazy or, you forget about it, is when you do get stuck, don't go too deep. Don't keep revving, and you're going down deeper and deeper, because that's, if you just reverse up a little bit and get yourself out of that predicament, and then you can lower your tyres and then off you go again.
Yeah, low range is another, I love low range. I just not a fan of high range.
Yeah. As some people might not know, you're four-wheel drive, you got high range and you got low. And low is great for in the beach, on the beach, and also if you're going, mountain climbing or something like that on steep inclines.
Yeah, where you're putting your car under a bit of load and
or very muddy or something like that where you need
just makes
the
everything
best traction.
Yeah, just makes your car work a bit easier.
And also, pulling your boat out.
Yep.
If you've got a bigger boat, like we talked about on previous episode, that you just low range is the way to go. And you can just take it nice and easy.
And enjoy the scenery.
That's right. So make sure you always air down before you get on the beach, not on the beach, because actually I've seen you, Chunk, a few times. Just tear out on the beach, see how far you can get, and then you go, all right, time to put the tyres down.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always work because some people don't know the beach, and if you do that and you get stuck in a place where you're, down where the waves are or something like that, and you're trying to do a bit of skylarking because of the crowd behind you, and you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So let the tyres down to, 20 to start with, 15, and you can make your life very easy on the beach. You've got to remember the people you got in the car with you got to look after them, so you need to do the right thing all the time. Number 2 on the list was safety gear. Obviously, a little bit of that's got to do with tyres and that. If you do get bogged, always carry a shovel with you. That can help a lot.
Yep.
Traction aids like Max Tracks and things like that, they're really good shovels as well.
They're a big thing now, aren't they? I know.
Certainly are.
When I started, obviously with the car at 17, 20 years ago now, they weren't really around. I don't think they probably.
No, I don't think they would have. A shovel would have been your best friend, I reckon.
Yeah.
And you can use a shovel for many purposes too.
Yes, you can.
Yep, that's right. You don't need a dunny. You can just carry the shovel and you can get yourself out of the shit a lot. That's right.
I've put myself in the shit a fair bit.
Carry a shovel, that helps you with that a lot of the time. But Max Tracks are fantastic, and there's a couple more on the market that are pretty good too. But, I mean, I've got Max Tracks, and, I mean, we've all got Max Tracks. And
I'll tell you a story about...
pretty hard to wreck them.
Max Tracks, because in my D-Max, it's set up as the tradie bus, it's got the racks on it.
Yep.
And anyway, I had a 6 metre long scaffold plank this day, and I just went for a drive along the windmill track down here in Albany. And then I got hung up on this rock, I thought I'd just go up there and around there, and thought, yeah, no worries, that'll be good. By myself, of course, just another standard thing that I would do.
That's mainly all sand, that track too, isn't it?
Mainly all sand, yeah. Anyway, I got hung up on the bloody rock and one wheel was up in the air, so I got this plank and I was bouncing on it, wedging it under the wheel to jam it up onto another rock higher up, and anyway, that managed to spring the whole car up and managed to just crawl off, no worries.
Wow.
Because I had this scaffold plank on the roof.
Yep, there you go, tradies. Keep one of them on the roof. Always very handy. You don't need traction aids then.
No, meter traction aid wouldn't have done me any good then.
What other safety gear have you got in the D-Max, mate? Air compressor?
Air compressor, yep. That's a bit of a must.
Yeah, you haven't had a winch on that wagon. I've got one on mine, which the main thing we use winches for is getting the dinghy out of the water. And straps are very handy.
Yes, straps, air compressors. And
yeah, got a shackle or two there, softies. Better than the hard ones these days.
Snatch straps.
Which you've pulled a lot of people out, and we have ourselves.
I think I've pulled as many out as I've been pulled out.
Yeah, that's right.
To be honest. So
and that does help, especially people who are out four-wheel driving and haven't had a lot of experience. People who have got a lot of experience can help them out a lot of the time.
Yeah, so the biggest thing in the sand, I suppose, is not to spin your tyres, like don't think just because and that's another thing about low range that I love, like you hit a soft spot, which quite often happens, you've just got the torque of the engine to keep you ticking through. It's not a matter of spinning your tyres because that's losing traction. It's just keeping those wheels going as slow as you have to. And
yeah, a lot of the time it doesn't have to be speed. It's just got to take it easy and work your way out of it instead of, if you flog it, a lot of the time you will just go deeper.
That's right. The big powerful ones like the Cruise and the Patrols with those big engines that have got the massive torque, behind them. You don't even have to touch the accelerator. It's just let the engine do the work, and you will crawl out.
Yeah.
That happened the first day you brought your 76 when you took it for a run on the beach.
That's right. It did. All right. What else do we need to take? Having a UHF's great.
Yep. Comms.
Especially if you're with mates and you're in different cars. And also, if there's other people around and they might have theirs on and you're in trouble, you can always, if you don't have phone signal, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Having your lights on, if you're hacking around the sand dunes isn't always a bad one.
Yes, and with safety gear too, I mean, everyone's got a spare tyre or should have a spare tyre, and if you get yourself in a lot of trouble, you can get yourself out if you have a winch, because you can bury the spare tyre on the beach and winch yourself out of a lot of trouble. And if you're dune driving and that sort of thing, flags are a really good idea.
They are.
You need them in a lot of desert driving and that, but when you're on the beach, if you're going through sand dunes and things like that where you can't see, always good to have a flag.
Yeah. Is it not law, but like just highly recommended going through the deserts and stuff with them? Were you not sure?
Oh, I'm pretty sure the Simpson is definitely law.
Yeah, right.
Not sure about Canning Stock Route and places like that. They do tell you to put them on though because,
just the amount of the volume
you're
of
going
track.
over hundreds of sand dunes and you can't see on the other side.
Yeah.
It's very handy. But even if you're on the beach and going through the dunes, if you're going to do a lot of that, it's good. Don't want head-on collisions.
No, I think they're pretty cheap really for what they are.
Right, when you're down on the beach, keeping momentum's another good thing. If you can keep wheel speed, if it is a sandy patch, keep your momentum up.
Yep.
You don't want to just stop if you don't have to in some circumstances because really sandy beaches in the middle of the day when it's hot are very difficult. So if you keep a bit of momentum up, you'll get through quite easily.
And the sand turns to almost like powder, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And I have noticed driving with you, going side to side with your steering wheel sometimes gives you a bit more traction.
Yeah, it does make a big difference. I'm not much of a reader, but I like watching my YouTube videos, and I think I learned that little tip off old Shauno off, what is it, 4-wheel drive, 24/7?
Maybe.
I think that's where I learned that little one.
I'll tell you a funny story about momentum. I just got out of school actually, and my older brother, who was a couple of years older, he had a 200B Datsun, and we had a trailer, and he had an old Honda motorbike on the back, and he said, right, we're heading north. We were living in Perth, and we were heading up to Shark Bay. He wanted to go to Steep Point in a 200B Datsun. And, of course, we didn't really know much back then. He was 19, I was 17, I think, and I thought, yep, an adventure, let's go. And we had no idea what we were doing. We ended up getting to Coral Bay actually in the end, but getting to Steep Point in a 200B with a trailer on the back and a motorbike, pretty heavy motorbike too, was not such a good idea. And it didn't matter how much momentum we tried because we had a two-wheel drive car. We weren't going anywhere near Steep Point, I can tell you. And we ended up camping near the causeway and we caught Big Taylor and we had so much fun, but we didn't get up the track too far in the sand because we tried for a whole day, I reckon, probably 12 hours. And we'd get 200 metres, then we'd have to reverse up. We get another 200 metres, reverse up. This went on for hours and I just said to him, Ted, I don't think we're heading that way. Let's just camp near here and catch some fish and then we'll go north from there. And that's what we did. We hardly got off the old limestone track and we certainly didn't get up there in a 200B. So don't try two-wheel drive cars on the beach and the momentum in a two-wheel drive still will not get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
And even if you put your boot into it, you're not going to go anywhere. So be smart, stick to four-wheel drives on the beach. And even though, many trips in two-wheel drive Hiluxes back in the day going to Mandurah from Perth, going tailor fishing, high-tailing it, doing about 50 mile an hour through sand tracks. It got us to places where we shouldn't have been, and then at night you'd be heading home on the same track going back all cut up because a few people had been on it and two-wheel drives. You have a lot of fun, but you also hit the roof a few times.
Oh, yeah.
But
I remember going...
I wouldn't recommend it.
I remember going down to Miller's Point with Dowley who we interviewed a few weeks back, the old Must Lord. Normally we take my old Hilux 2.8 Hilux on these fishing trips, and this one trip he had I think it was a RAV4. That's what he used to roll around in. And anyway, we ended up taking his, and it was just an all-wheel drive, and it's a bit of a four-wheel drive track to get in there, and it was pretty low clearance, and we had a tinny on the back. And Dowley's, he's not a four-wheel driver. He's mad as a cut snake when he's
Good fisherman, though.
good fisherman, just foot to the floor when he's driving.
He left all that to you, did he, that side of it, to get him where you want to go?
Oh, I reckon we must have taken down trees and bloody nearly snapped our necks on the roof, and God. But we got in there and had a bit of fun. So
Did you catch any fish?
yeah, we had Dowley. We're always going to catch a fish with him.
Yep, that's right. And that's another good thing. The people who are experienced in the different jobs when you do go camping or you go four-wheel driving, let them do the things they're good at.
Yeah, I was just the peanut in the boat trying to catch him.
That's right. Yeah, see, you were the navigator, well, the driver and navigator. You knew what you were doing. And another thing on driving on the beach is pretty important too, is to drive in a straight line, especially if you're dune driving. Don't try and turn when you're in really soft sand. Keep your wheels straight as much as possible, and stick in the ruts that are there if people have been driving up and back all the time.
Yeah.
Especially in soft stuff, because that's usually the track that's been beaten a little bit and should be a bit harder on the bottom.
Yeah, and don't be afraid. Dunes can be a bloody tricky bloody thing, eh? If you're going up a dune, it's not so bad. Going down them's can be a little bit gnarly. Like if you're going, you can get caught out pretty easily, because you're going down and you can't, especially if you're going down the skinny little tracks going down them. You can get caught out by sliding off, and if you've got to, do turns at the bottom of them, it's just don't be afraid to walk a dune track, I suppose, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
and try and keep straight going up, straight coming down, because you can slide off and
going up's 10 times easier because you got that momentum and you know where
Yeah, my son actually sent us a photo the other day of someone that he pulled out recently, and they were on the side. It was duney and it had trees on it, like low shrubs, and this guy just slid straight off the side into a low shrub, and there was no way he was getting out.
Yeah.
Brad had to winch him out, and fortunately they were in an area where the odd person does come along, and Brad just happened to be out fishing for the day and was able to pull this guy out because there was no one else around to help him. And it wasn't in a situation, with just small shrubs where you could be where you could winch yourself out. He didn't have a winch, but even there was no way they were digging it out. I think it was patrol and pretty heavy. So just be careful. Make sure you stick on the tracks when there are tracks there, and because usually those tracks have been well worn, and that's where people go. Above the high tide mark is another good thing. Staying above the water line, and don't go in the water because you got a lot of work to do when you get home and clean the bus.
That's right. And you saying that, like it only prevents your car from salt spray, not to the full extent because you're on the beach anyway, but you are, you're above that high water line where the salt is not as much. And
if you stay up high where there's a track a lot of the time, that's the track to be on. But obviously if you've got a hard beach and you can hack along the beach, it's a lot easier. But you just got to be aware of the beach when you're on it.
And if you get bogged up high, you got time's on your side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's right.
That's another benefit behind
the tide's not going to bother you too much.
Ah.
And watch for weed build up under sand. That happens a lot on beaches.
Yeah.
And especially if you're hacking along going a little bit too fast. Just got to be careful that you don't sink in.
Yeah. I've
got a funny story actually about high tides and things like that. Many years ago we were at Kalbarri, and my brother had an old Arcana Land Cruiser, which was yellowy colour and square back on it, pretty old. And we were down on Red Bluff Beach, and it was very steep, and we had reversed it right down on the beach on this big hump. Then we had to fish on a bit of a slope in the water, and we'd been there since 3 o'clock in the arvo. It was about 6, 7 o'clock at night. We wanted to get out of there. The tide was coming in. We had reversed sort of over the rise on the beach, and there was no way we were getting this old Arcana off. And the tide was coming in. It was getting late, dark, couldn't see anything. There was 4 of us there. We'd caught a few tailor.
Yeah.
And then the tide ended up lapping on the tailgate, and, the sand was really soft, and we'd made a big blue,
Yeah.
And we had to ring the RAC at Calbarry. He come out, a couple of cartons of beer later we had to give him. We were out, I reckon, 10, 11 o'clock at night. It was just horrific, and all for a few fish.
Yeah.
But we just had no idea. We'd been to Calbarry times before, but we just made a big blue by, reversing right down. It was really steep. And over the time that we were there, she'd just sunk, and we weren't getting it out. There was no way we were getting it out unless someone winched us out from a long way. And, yeah, that was a bit hairy. We thought we were going to lose it that night, but it wasn't mine anyway. It was me brother's.
Yeah.
So, but we got out safe, and that was good.
That's a cheap recovery, that.
Have you had any experiences like that, Chunk?
Yes, Chip.
Give us a couple.
One comes to mind is with Dowley again. We went to Hopetown out the back of, is it the Steerdale Road? What's the river that runs along the back there?
Oh, yeah, the Steer.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Near the Cullum Inlet there.
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's off the back of the Cullum Inlet. We went in there and driving along the mud flat there, and we're only 18, so we've got to back it in, and didn't even get close to the water, and the whole car has just gone boof down,
Disappeared.
Disappeared, yep. Anyway, so we got in, and we managed to find a farmer with a tractor, and he pulled us out. This is like, I don't know, 17 years ago, I suppose. Before iPhones were a thing, before Facebook and all this sort of stuff. And then we get pulled out and all that, no worries. Before we got to the pub in Hopetown, as soon as we walked into the door, half the pub's just like, "Oh, you're the idiots that got bogged, are you?" And we're just like, "What are you on about?"
How did they all know?
Don't know. And then one of them rips out this old flip picture phone, and shows us. They're like, "Is this your car?" And I was just like, "What?" Anyway, we're just like, "Oh, let's just go get a beer."
Sounds like someone stitched you up, mate. Did they buy you a beer?
Nah, we were just the town laugh that night.
Yeah, just be sure you know where you're going, and make sure you know the beach. If you don't know the beach, ask people, and
Bit of research.
Get some advice before you go. That's all in your preparation before you head out. Keep your tyres low. Stay out of trouble. Plenty of safety gear, and make sure you know how to drive your 4-wheel drive, because it makes a big difference. If someone else is driving it or you're driving someone else's, make sure you've got experience, because you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. And there's not always people out there on beaches far away that can help you, even with, with phone coverage and things like that. These days it's not always available. So make sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah. What is your favourite beach to go for a drive along?
Well, I do like the Hammersley over in Hopi, because that's an adventure actually to get there. And
yeah, it is.
You got dunes, you got rock, you're going through a bit of bush, and then when you get to the beach, not a big beach, but you can go either side when you get there. And I do like that.
That is a nice drive.
Yeah, spent a lot of time at Preston when we were younger, and that was good fun, because you could go from there to Tim's Thicket.
That's a big long beach, isn't it?
Back towards Mandurah. Yeah, you could drive a long way there.
Along there.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now, I love going to Chains now, because, you can drive a long way. You can get in at Bluff Creek as well if you want to fish up that end. Most of the time you can get a fish.
Yeah.
So our last adventure there a few days ago, we didn't get anything. But
wasn't that successful, but that's
that's fishing.
But fishing.
Still, it's a great beach to go on. You can't get in much trouble on Chains if if you take it easy.
Yeah.
I've been on Fraser over in Queensland. That's a pretty special place to go. The world's largest sand island, I think it is. On the eastern side, it's got about 80 k's or something like that, and a few headlands and that you got to navigate. But driving on that beach, I know it's changed a bit now. We went quite a while ago when there wasn't a lot of people around, just the dingoes. But there's a lot more people driving on it now. But it's still a great place to go camping, go fishing, go four-wheel driving. And the sand right through the whole island, if you go into the lakes and into the ranger station in the middle where it's very tropical, it's a fantastic place to go four-wheel driving because you don't actually take it out of four-wheel drive the whole time you're on the island. You can, stay there for a long time camping and go to so many different camping places. It's a great island to go to. And if I was to say my favourite, that would probably be it. We were there for a week and, different campsites. It was fantastic. I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
Yours?
Yeah, I love Bluff Creek.
And that's an adventure to get into.
Same sort of thing, I love the adventure. You got to start at the start and...
You come off the main road and you go down there a bit and then you let your tyres down before you get on the rough stuff.
Half an hour out of town and, another 10 minutes down the gravel road probably more, to be honest. Or we through the bush and the scrub and you come out onto the beach and the beach is nice and soft and there's plenty of dune driving and that leads you up to Warriups and...
Yeah, that's right. You've got a bit of everything there, haven't you?
Yeah, I do love that beach, and...
you got to watch like tree roots and that, I think I remember on that track getting in.
Yeah.
Tree roots going across the little tiny dunes sort of that you go through.
Yeah, there's all sorts, there's...
Yeah, especially when you're dropping off the other side. You don't know what's on the other side and there could be a washed out tree root across the track.
Bit of a limestone headland you got to
negotiate.
Yeah. There's a real skinny, soft section of the beach and that you got to watch out for. And then there's nice big wide sections which are just nice and easy to cruise along and don't need a souped up vehicle, that's for sure.
That's what I found with my 76 because, the gear ratios and that are ideal for just traversing like even rough, steep inclines and things like that. Even though the wheels aren't lined up because of the V8 in it, they still, for those sort of tracks...
they're just like old tractors, aren't they?
Crawling along, they're at their peak.
Yeah.
I can't beat that vehicle for what it did for me for going on tracks and, when we would go down the Beaufort Inlet and things like that. Just take it easy, low range, and just let it crawl along and you enjoy yourself so much because I don't think I'd ever get in trouble in that vehicle. They're a bit thin, the vehicle themselves, compared to others, but I didn't have a lot on the roof or anything like that, so I was never worried about it, going over or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, wideish tyres and just take it easy. That is a fantastic vehicle, that.
Yeah, it was for you, yeah.
All right, that's about all we can talk about. Just make sure when you're out there on beaches, they are a bit unpredictable at times, especially at different times of the year with winter and that coming up soon. And make sure you take a lot of care and enjoy your four-wheel drive camping trips and fishing trips on the beach.
Yes.
Thanks, Chunk.
Thanks, Chip.
Catch up next episode. Take care, everybody.
Yes. Enjoy.